Hello, I'm Zsuzsanna.griga. I'm a karmic astrologer. Very early on, I saw strange things. I experienced things in the corner when there was dark. And actually, kids are usually scared of the dark, and I never was. I was fascinated. The moment we switched off the light, the whole room was filled with entities, and I talked to them, and I enjoyed it. And later on, around 4 or 5 years of age, I realized that I can sense people's auras and whether they are ill or not. And I could even sense death, that they're going to die, which is quite scary because I was a very outspoken kid. And I told everyone, be careful, you're going to die. Think about it. This was not a very nice thing to say, but who cares? And I remember distinctly, I must have been about 10 years old, when my mom, who was very much interested in astrology, she gave me my horoscope. It was a handwritten horoscope, and there were no computers at that time. And I looked at it and I said, well, this is not mine. I don't think it's mine. And my mom explained that I was a cesarean, and of course she was put to sleep and operated on, and she asked one of the assistants to jot down the exact time I was born. And of course, at that time, people were given not just anesthesia, but, some sleeping aid. So the baby was asleep as well. So I was taken out of her womb, but I wouldn't cry. And then they were trying to slap me and all kinds of things. And much later on, I realized that, in fact, I was born 12 minutes after she thought I was born, which meant that the horoscope, the picture of the horoscope I saw wasn't really mine. And what's on top of this, the German astrologer, I was born in Germany, the German astrologer didn't believe in the existence of Pluto, and so she didn't put Pluto on my ascendant, so of course it wasn't mine. But I even without knowing anything about astrology, I just looked at it and I said, this is not mine. And this is a very distinct moment because I understood what I saw, and I knew instinctively that it's not mine. I can't describe you the feeling, but it was this very, very profound sense of, I know this, I must do this if I know this, right? So then came the period when I was searching. And of course, in communist Hungary, this type of knowledge was clandestine, so you didn't really have books or anything, so you needed to smuggle books in from abroad. And this is how I started learning astrology. First of all, if you want to know what the difference is between so-called traditional and karmic astrology, you need to understand one very important fact, that astrology has always been with us. Only in the last 300 years was it made out to be something strange or something unreal. Astrology has been very, very real. It was part of life. So in Roman Christian Catholic times, only those occult knowledges were able to survive that kind of accepted the Roman Christian doctrines. And traditional astrology is very much linked to those, that you have one life, that you have to die at the end of it, that then you might go to purgatory, burn there for a couple of thousand years, and maybe then, if you were good enough, then you can go to heaven. So everything is predetermined, and no matter what you do, it is only God who can decide what's happening to you. Traditional astrology is very much based on this. This is your birth chart. These are the traits you're coming in with. This is what you must do. If you don't do it, you will get punished. Whereas karmic astrology is very, very different. And it differs in two main things. Number one, there's no compulsory karma. This is something that no one understands because, there's so much negativity and so much scary idea or ideology linked to karma, that everyone thinks that you need to do it. No, you need to understand it, and then you need to decide what you're going to do with it. Whether you're going to redo it, try to resolve it, or let go. You can always let go. My master, Judy Hall, says that there is a karma of grace, which means you can hold up your hands and you can say, I'm sorry, I can't do anything. There's nothing I can do about this. I don't want to put more energy into it. So this is very important. So when I look at the birth chart and I look into the karmic layers, I can tell what your karma is, and I can tell how to resolve it or how to let it go. Number 2, the solar system is not what we used to learn at school. It doesn't look like that. There used to be a planet between Mars and Jupiter, which got blown up about 12,000 years ago, and the remains of this blown up planet, it has formed the so-called asteroid belt. There are about 300,000 asteroids, out of which about 20,000 are named. And if you give something a name, you give it a destiny. And that destiny is going to be reflected back to you, which means that it has a meaning. And it will explain certain things about you. And then there's another belt at the edge of the solar system. It's called the Kuiper belt. This is where the trans-Neptunian objects, centaurs, Plutinos, TNOs, SDOs, whatever layer you put there, I usually use the label centaurs. They are responsible for your karmic wounds, and they are going to tell you what you have learned through pain, through suffering in previous incarnations, and it will also tell you what to do about them. I teach in 2 main cities. Number 1 is Budapest, which is my main residence at the moment, and I teach at Clearbrook College of Higher Education and Transcendental Knowledge and Alternative Medicine. It used to be accredited, and we put together a very interesting curriculum in which we teach numerology, astrology, tarot, and all kinds of other interesting subjects. And I also teach in London. I used to teach for London School of Astrology. I no longer do because I have my own groups, and that's what I do usually. My clients come from everywhere. Obviously, most of my clients come from either London or Budapest. But since I do chart reading via Skype, really, I had clients from New Zealand, from California, even from Russia. Actually, a couple of people from Russia. So whoever is interested in karmic astrology usually finds me. So for a long time I was doing charts simply, for family members and for friends, and I was otherwise occupied. I had a first son, then I was building a family home, I started to work, and astrology was always there, but kind of in the background. And then back in 1982 or 83, my brother, my only brother, my kid brother, he was 4 years younger, decided to leave the country and immigrate to the United States. And we threw a party for him. And we did a couple of, we had a couple of drinks, obviously. And his girlfriend at that time went to my desk and saw these hand-written horoscopes. And one was my brother's. And she looked at it and she said, wow, this is Frank's birth chart. Can you tell me something about him? And presumably, I don't remember this, but this girl later on told me that I said, he will die as your life force is flowing away from his body. And in 1995, as he was murdered, this is exactly how he died. And I didn't remember the episode at that point, but this girl searched me out about half a year later when this happened. And she requested a meeting with me, and we had coffee, and she told me the whole story. And I went home, and I took his chart out of the folder. I looked at it and I saw immediately again what I must have seen then. And then I realized that, you know what, if I saw this after really very, very little learning, very little knowledge of astrology, if this type of intuition came so sharply and immediately, like a message, then maybe this is what I need to do, that maybe this is what I should do for a living. If I could help other people see things that they don't see by themselves, then maybe I can make a difference in their lives. I have always been a very conscious person, maybe because my moon phase at birth is crescent moon, which is about changing things and being very much aware of your own mistakes. I kept going back to myself and scolding myself for certain things that I did in the past. I used to say that every half a year I started to be ashamed of things that I did. And this made me very much aware of things that are not just on the human, ordinary, tangible level. But I started to look behind things. And as I said, you know, when I was very, very young, I saw things in the corner when it was dark. I could talk to entities. This faded when I became a teenager, but then with astrology, it came back. And so astrology wasn't even enough. First of all, normal traditional astrology wasn't enough. That's why how I got into centaurs and asteroids, and also I realized that there's a hidden karmic layer in the chart. But with everything else, I was trying to go beyond the ordinary, beyond what is visible and tangible, and I tried to understand the signs. The signs are very important. First of all, you have a higher self, which can be calculated, by the way, and in this way we can tell how well you are acquainted with your higher self, how much you are paying attention, because your higher self is constantly screaming at you and sending you messages and dreams and premonitions and signs. And if you have a good connection with your higher self, you get constant messages, you get constant guidances. Think about it as your guardian angel. You do have a guardian angel. You sometimes disregard her or him, unfortunately, but you should really pay attention. And I have a very, very good connection with my own higher self or guardian angel. So I'm looking into things very sharply, and I think it's about raising your consciousness, looking around, loving the world you are in. This is a very precious world, and knowing that every moment is precious and unique. And if you do any sort of esoteric science, or you know these things, then you can actually be aware of these facts, and your life can be much better. You can be a much better and much healthier and much happier person. I always seem to work. This is funny. I'm very lucky because I don't need too much sleep. In winter, I need about 5-6 hours. In the summer, 5 hours is perfectly fine. I start working around 5 or 6 o'clock because I'm very sharp in the morning. And after my first coffee, I start looking at today's client and tuning into the various portions of his or her chart. And then I seem to be working all day. I'm writing articles, I'm taking phone calls, I'm preparing for my next reading, I'm writing an article, I'm preparing for my teaching. And so by 7 or 8 o'clock, I'm usually quite tired. Then I take a shower. And taking a shower is washing away the day, literally. And this is something that I think it's a brilliant idea. So please try. Okay, you can wash away the day's bad stuff, worries, idiocies, everything that really just bothered you. Just wash it away. Cleanse not just your physical body, you know, water is a wonderful commodity to have, so use it until we have it. And then I usually have a glass of wine, which is very important, spirit, you know, I'm adding spirit to spirit. And then I read. My favorite pastime, my favorite way to chill out is reading and listening to music. And it's just classical music or metal. My younger son does metal, so I feel very honored that since 13 I was listening to Deep Purple and Led Zeppelin and Metallica and Black Sabbath and things like that, and now my son is actually doing the exact same music. So it's kind of interesting. I think that it's family tradition is very important, and I can see that, you know, when, for instance, being a lawyer or being a doctor runs in the family, how one person can give it to the other person, the knowledge, and it's a nice thing. But even with hobbies, it's simply great. And I love people, so I love my friends. I enjoy spending time with them, which is very important, because as I get older, what I realized, my greatest gift that I can give to someone else is my full attention and my time, because, you know, I have less and less time, so I need to make a decision who I'm going to spend my time with. And spending my time with my precious granddaughter is first and foremost, and then my friends, and of course my family members that I love, who I love. Usually these are the things that I can wind down. At the moment, the most important person in my life is my 3-year-old granddaughter. She's very, very precious. I love her dearly, and she's, of course, the smartest, the most beautiful child on earth, of course. And I can see in her a lot of things, little seeds that will be sprouting into a beautiful bouquet of flower. And what is really important is that luckily she has very good parents who are looking at her as a little person, treating her as a completely separate adult, not like a baby who is someone's baby, but as a separate entity, as a separate little soul who has a purpose. And they try to accommodate that purpose, which is brilliant. This is, I think, what we should do with everyone. And to watch her grow up is going to be my greatest joy. And luckily there's another coming on the way. We will have a little Leo coming in the middle of August, so I'm looking forward to her as well. She's going to be a baby girl again.